Hello there, people of the internet. I'm not sure if this video is going to go up or not just because I'm not entirely sure what to expect here. I have some 4570 cartridges out here that I personally loaded up for my Trapdoor Springfield. This is an 1873 Trapdoor Springfield in 4570. It is original. I have no idea what happened here, but it looks like it got scratched. Oh, that is awful. Oh well. I am still using it, so we are going to get dings, nicks, scratches, and whatnot on it. It just sucks because this gun's like 140, 150 years old now. But anyway, this is an original Trapdoor Springfield in 4570. Open it up, you stick your cartridge in right there, you close it, you pull your trigger. It's a very, very simple design. A little bit of history behind these rifles. Not this exact rifle, but this style of rifle was actually essentially designed right after the Civil War, and it was intended to convert Civil War muskets into breech loading systems. Normally with a musket, you'd pour your powder down the barrel, you'd put your ball on top, you'd grab your ramrod, you'd push it down, ram it home, stick a percussion cap, on the nipple on the back of the breech, and it's a whole process. So having everything contained inside of a single cartridge that you just load into a breech is a lot faster of a process. So after the Civil War, I think they converted a bunch of muskets to, I think it's 56 caliber, might be 58 caliber, but I think it's 56 caliber rimfire. Those were not great. They had some issues behind them. So what they ended up doing was actually sleeving a lot of those guns down to a 50 caliber versus the 56 or 58 caliber. And with that sleeving, I think that's whenever 5070 government became a thing. And then they started making barrels and receivers that were in 5070 from scratch. And then in 1873, they narrowed that cartridge down a little bit more to 45. We get 4570. And they started making those guns essentially from scratch because they really liked the design, looks like. So that is what we have right here. This is an 1882 produced 4570 Trapdoor Springfield. The cartridges that we have here today are what I am ultimately interested in. Where did I put those that I just had? Ah, they're in my other pocket. These are a 425 grain bullet behind 70 grains of gunpowder. So these rifles right here, your cavalry, I think I said that properly, cavalry rifles actually used I think it was a 300 grain bullet, and then they had the 405 grain bullet, and I think the infantry rifle used a 500 grain bullet. Something along those lines. But they had their different kinds of bullet weights for these rifles, and I'm not entirely sure what this one right here was intended to fire. I have fired 300 grain, 405 grain, and 425 grain through this rifle. I fired both black powder and smokeless loads through this rifle, and it seems like it likes 300 grain bullets. However, that being said, I don't know why this is, but I have noticed that black powder cartridges fired from rifles that would normally keyhole a round, like if you load it with black powder, it stops keyholing that round. I'm not 100% certain on why. Could be pressures, could be pressure spikes, could be fouling in the barrel, giving it a little bit more grasp, which I don't understand that because the barrel on this one is actually quite good. And we got lead showing. So I'm not 100% sure why, but I'm hoping that since this would normally not stabilize a 425 grain bullet with smokeless powder, I'm hoping that since I have these loaded with black powder, it will stabilize. That's kind of what we're out here to test. So this cartridge is essentially what I tell people the buffalo cartridge. Way back in the day, whenever settlers were, moving west and settling, and they hunted buffalo and bison basically to extinction, this was one of the most popular full-powered rifle cartridges out there on the market. There were others that were out there, but since this right here was the standard issue U.S. military cartridge, there were a lot of different rifles that were chambered in it. It definitely was by far the most used cartridge. This was like the 223 of the day. You combine this with 45 Colt, and those were the go-to cartridges. So I want to see if these keyhole. The first round might keyhole, and then beyond that we might see less and less keyholing as fouling builds up. I'm not 100% sure what the twist rate of this rifle is or what the twist rate is needed to stabilize a 425 grain bullet. I have no idea if we're even going to hit our target, but I have a cardboard box out there, and I'm just going to kind of aim center mass at that. Or maybe I'll aim a little bit lower because I think that this rifle hits a little high. But I'm going to aim at that, we're going to hit it, we're going to see if we have a nice round hole or a keyhole, and we will move on from there. So these are just cast lead bullets behind 70 grains of gunpowder. This is homemade gunpowder. My homemade gunpowder, I use coconut fiber as my charcoal, and it burns really, really cleanly. Like, if I were to load this with commercial powder, like say, I don't know, GoX or something like that. If I were to load this with commercial powder and I were to shoot a bunch of rounds through it, I would slowly lose accuracy. But with this particular gunpowder, I don't have that. I've tried it through several rifles now, and I just don't have those issues of losing accuracy the more that I fire. And it just seems to be because there's not very much fouling going on with coconut fiber. It seems to be the greatest form of charcoal. So I'm going to take aim and pull the trigger, and let's see if we hit our target. Well, I think that we hit it. As a matter of fact, I think we hit dead center exactly where I was aiming. So that might have worked out like spot on. So this stuff right here is a corned black powder. And during the making process of most of your commercial grade powder, it is pressed and then ground up to be the size that it needs to be. But this stuff, since it's homemade, I don't have a press. Honestly, I doubt that I'll ever do the pressing method. Because corning is just so easy. But corned powder is less powerful than pressed powder, so the gunpowder I'm using here is less powerful than that of commercial grade powder. If you were to load the same cartridge with 70 grains of, say, GoX, you would have more pressure, more power, more velocity, etc., etc. So the recoil on this is not that bad. By weight, I would say, like, since I have 70 grains by volume, but it's less dense, so there's less weight, therefore translating to less powder. By weight, I would say I probably have a 55 to 60 grain charge versus that 70 grain charge, even though by volume we do have that 70 grain. So I'm going to walk down there and have a look at that hole, see if it keyholed. If it did not, I'm going to set up my steel target and see if I can hit that. Because if I got to load this thing with black powder to stop the keyholing, then that's what I'll do, because I make my own black powder. And boy, wouldn't that be great if she didn't keyhole with black powder. I don't know why it keyholes with smokeless powder, but you load black powder into a cartridge and your rifle stops keyholing. Alright, sure enough, we have ourselves a nice round hole on that piece of cardboard there. Okay, cool. Let me go ahead and fire at our steel, and let's see if we hit our steel. Just in case we are hitting high, I'm going to aim like at the bottom third of the steel, because why not? Doink. Oh, well, that's on the ground now. Now I get to play, hey, pick that up. I can really smell the sulfur in this. I load my powder with probably a little bit more sulfur than I need to. Okay, where can I put this? I'm just going to gingerly set that right there so I don't lose it. And we're going to take aim, fire at our steel, see if we hit it. My Trapdoor Springfield, my spring on it for my sight is gone, and they don't exactly sell those at Walmart, so I have to push the sight down every time I fire. Not that big of a deal. Did I hit it? I'm not sure if I hit that. Well, let me wander down there and I'm going to have a look. Alright, I'm betting we probably went over our target, because, like I said, this thing probably does shoot a little bit high. So I'm going to try aiming at the bottom of the target versus like the bottom third like I was. And let's see if we hit that bad boy. Okay, second verse, same as the first. Let me step like right here. Try to stepping away to where you guys, I'm positive y'all can see the gun firing on camera. First. Judging by the sound I heard, I think that I'm hitting the rim of the car. Maybe we're hitting higher than I'm thinking. I'm gonna try aiming like 6 inches under that target. Let's see what we got. There we go. That was a hit. All right, so we are hitting high. Fantastic. Glad to know that. Just to confirm point of impact, I went ahead and I put our box out there. I'm gonna aim at where I hit on that box. And I'm gonna see where this round goes, whether or not we're going high or low, or maybe left or right. Because this is corned powder. I'm pretty sure that this right here is designed for pressed powder, or whatever that powder is called. All right, I'm aiming for that spot right there. My sights are down. Let's pull the trigger on this. All right. Ah. Yeah, we are hitting a little high, but it also looks like we're hitting a little bit to the right. Cool. Well, we are not keyholing, so I'm quite pleased about that. All right, well, I sent a couple of rounds downrange with this thing. I am quite excited for that. What are you? Yeah, it's something. It's a leaf. That was in my britches. Boy, oh boy, that did not feel good on the old jiggly bits. Anyway, thanks for watching, folks. I appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, share. I'm glad that these rounds worked out. I wanted to test my homemade powder with these heavier bullets because I actually have a cast mold for these heavier bullets. I know that my smokeless loads for 300 grain projectiles through this, those do not keyhole, but anything above that with smokeless just seems to keyhole through this particular rifle. I'm glad black powder does not, because I can make black powder myself at home for quite cheap. And I got the mold. I'm gonna make myself a whole bunch of these 45-70 shells. Okay, folks, thanks for watching. Appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, share. Description below has a link to all sorts of stuff. Go check it out. You guys go off, have yourself a fantastic day. I'll see you on the next episode. Been a little while since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. Poor man's Garen. It's a shame that bolt action shotguns aren't more mainstream.